And just like that,
Come
we're
on now.
back.
Come on now. Hey,
Fam.
We were like
We're
Lazarus in the
back.
grave,
Hey, what?
but
Jesus
we
said,
have
"Come
arisen.
out."
Nah, do you know who's seen Solo Leveling?
Oh no, I haven't seen
No,
Solo
I've
Leveling.
obviously not
No.
done.
Solo Leveling, yeah. This guy is a shadow. The main character is like a shadow monarch, yeah. And his thing is like raising dead soldiers, and his keyword is arise. So I was literally just about to say arise, but I realized that that notion is just over people's heads. So yes,
No, fair. I was
But
gonna make
yes,
the comparison to, the LGBTQ preacher, and he's like, Jesus helped his friends come out. He said to Lazarus,
I
"Come
have so
out."
people be making links that aren't there for
Fam,
whatever reason.
fam, yeah,
It's a beautiful fact.
But yes, we are the Blacksmith's Furnace, and we are back.
yes sir, yes sir.
Back,
Back
Ben,
like we never
Been a
left.
minute,
it's been a while, but life happens sometimes.
Life happens. Life
indeed,
happens.
indeed. Yeah,
But we're back. We're here. We're ready.
come on now.
I don't feel like why am I so slow and blurry?
Yeah, you are slow and blurry, boy.
You need an Ethernet connection because I know your internet speed is dope.
It is. But the price of the internet, crazy. That's not too bad for now.
Have you not heard how BBC are thinking about increasing the TV license?
They
Really?
should just go sit in the corner, bruv. How dare they?
For streaming? Nah, they're like streaming services are taking away our
Yeah,
viewing. So
yeah.
we're gonna tax you whether you watch us or not. What?
But they can't do, like, unless you watch live TV, they can't tax you, can they?
I don't. No,
Bruv,
but
I
the
need to
thing
look
is,
into it.
so
They
long
can
as
have
you
to
have,
go if they can.
so long currently it's like so long as you have a device that is able to receive live
Able to.
television,
Right.
they're gonna charge you. So even if it's a laptop,
Yeah.
they're gonna charge you for TV license.
There
But so I
must be
don't
a
know.
way. There must be a way to prove, like, if I can prove I'm not watching any live TV, because how, like, Netflix is all I watch, or stuff online. So it's like, how can we? Yeah, but yeah,
You know what's funny? They came to my house recently. Not recently, like sometime last year. Like, oh,
for
we just
real.
came to check to make sure that you're not watching live TV because I don't pay the TV license.
All
Um,
right.
but on the PlayStation, I've still got some of the channels. Even though I don't watch them, I still got like the BBC and the ITV things
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
And so as she came in, I was like, "Oh, can I just have a look around and see just to check?" And I was like, "Yeah." So she came in, she saw the PS5. She didn't turn it on. Luckily, she didn't. She didn't.
That's mad though.
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's mad that
And
they can.
yes.
Yeah.
Next time, I'm gonna say no. You can't come in.
You ain't got a warrant.
So wait, Robert, you guys haven't got a Skybox or anything?
No,
Nice, nice.
legit everything that we watch is Netflix and YouTube
All right, makes sense. Yeah.
and Amazon Prime.
Come on.
Yeah.
And today, Tubi.
Is Tubi still around?
It's on the PlayStation. Yeah. Andrew was watching the Winnie the Pooh horror movie that came out.
Horror movie.
Yeah, yeah. So the rights to Winnie the Pooh became
Up for
public
grabs.
domain when, like, a couple
Couple
years
years
ago?
ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that was the first thing I heard. Like, they're making a horror version of Winnie the Pooh.
That's wild.
They said it was trash. Yeah. But to be fair, I think they were just trying to see how much they could get away with now that
Yeah.
these new rules are in place.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. So we're back. It's 2025.
Come on.
New year.
New
Brand
year.
new year.
What,
And
same
the end of the first month. Kind of end of the first month of
Yeah.
the
I
year.
know.
Already.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But that means it's my birthday soon.
Oh, yours is before Peter's, right? Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bro,
Much,
you
man.
lot getting old, boy.
Says you. You're older than me.
But you turn your birthday's before mine, so I can say you're getting older.
Yeah, but you're still
No, you
older.
can't.
Yeah,
Listen,
but
man.
you're still older.
Technically, he is getting older.
We're all getting older. Anyway,
We're all getting older.
guys, this is not the content people came for. So let's get back to it. All right. So, this has been a while. Who wants to be in the hot seat?
I thought we were gonna throw one out for everyone. Like,
Oh,
I want to do one for one.
yeah, like a
why
gauntlet
not?
thing.
All right, let's go for it then.
Okay. Peter, since I'm assuming you didn't have a question. That's why, like, yeah, I'll go for the hot seat.
Literally. Literally. I do have an interesting question though.
Okay.
One that we may have addressed before, but I mean, this is kind of one that I think the Smash Brothers would like. So whoever wants to jump on it. But when Judah's son in the Old Testament, Judah's son was married to, I think, Tamar, and he died, and Judah said his younger brother should have relations with the wife and give him an heir, and the younger brother would have relations, but would,
Pull-out game was
The
strong.
pull-out game was strong.
coitus interruptus, to not give an heir. The Lord said he was displeased. What the young man was doing was evil, and killed him. My question, and I think we may have talked about it before. My question is, what was evil? Was it coitus interruptus, or was it having relations with no intention of giving the woman an heir?
So I would think it was the intention of. So it's almost, so you see when Jesus says, gave the parable about the father having two sons, and said to the first son, go to my vineyard or something like that and go harvest the fruits. And the first son said, I won't go. But later on changed his mind and went. And then the second son said, I will go and change. And so there's almost this deception within the heart of, yes, I will do this to perpetuate my brother's name, but then being deceptive in that. And so in the sight of society, oh yeah, like you're actually trying to perpetuate your brother's name,
Right.
but then you're actually being really deceptive and not doing that. So I think it's the deception, which then reveals something deeper in his heart, that God was displeased with, as opposed to the pull-out game.
I really like that. I like that extrapolation from that parable. Yeah, I like that. That's good. That's good for me.
Yes. Okay. Can I throw a question to? So who did I throw the question to? To Peter.
Yes, I guess I'm available.
And Moses was, yo.
Yeah.
I'm not available. I'm happily married. Thanks.
As am I.
Evidently not so. Okay,
Yeah.
so my question, Peter, is I think we're seeing more and more in the realm of YouTube, like Christian commentators who commentate on Christianity, the body, and like life in general and stuff. Do you think that their presence is a net positive or a net negative? Especially you see so many that will be calling out X and Y's teaching if they don't agree with it, or calling X and Y artists because they're doing so and so.
Yeah. I mean, I always say net positive, right? Only because I think for every sort of what do they call them? Discernment ministry, I think they're calling it, or something along those lines. These guys that want to call out every preacher. For each one, you get one or two that are making a valid point, right? And I think either way, it's drawing attention to, right? So where maybe it's bad preaching and they're calling it out, it's drawing attention to that. Oh wait, this is not what Christianity is all about. Like the prosperity gospel we've seen, or the condemning all souls we've seen, that's not what it's all about. Or if it's good news, if it's good gospel and it's good doctrine, and then you're still calling it out, it's still drawing attention to good doctrine, right? So either way, I think attention is being drawn to the right thing. And then outside of the call out ministry stuff, just having more Christians out there and having the good news being preached in so many ways, sometimes without having to do the public square, you're going to hell, sometimes through, I'm a human being as well, living life, and this is how Christ sort of influences and makes my life different. Or this is the hope that I have. The hope that we have in Christ, I think, is something that's underrated in terms of its ability to speak to the world, because we've been in some dark times, right? COVID and AI now, whatever, war, and for hope to be exposed the way it is for Christians, that we have a hope. Whatever happens now, we have a hope in Christ. I think that speaks volumes. And so, yeah, I'll always say net positive.
Interesting.
You sound like you don't agree, Moses.
I see your point in that. It's almost like whether genuine or for self gain, so long as Christ is being preached. Yeah. And the thing that I struggle with these things is with Paul's statement, for Paul to say, this is the gospel, that Christ died for our sins, he was risen, and he rose again. There's something about, I believe that statement is very much related to the true gospel being preached, like the actual gospel being preached and not watered down or anything. So whether they're preaching the actual gospel out of selfish gain or for Christ's glory, so long as the actual gospel is being preached, Paul is happy with it. I think the thing that I wrestle with is building a ministry off of the back of critiquing other people's ministries. Because I see it as, so obviously in terms of in the world, people build careers out of critiquing other people's stuff. So photographers, you can photo critique, or like movie critics or whatever. You can kind of have critics in different areas that don't actually do the thing, but they critique what people are doing. But there's a difference between being a movie critic and actually being a screenwriter and shooting movies and stuff like that, where you've actually got skin in the game. And you know how difficult it is to make a good movie. And so sometimes your critique of the film is from an ignorant place because you don't actually know what goes into making a film. You're just a consumer, and you're evaluating it from that place, which may or may not have its place, in society. But I think within Christianity, it is not a spectator sport. You can't kind of sit in the sidelines and critique it. You need to have your hands stuck in. You need to get your hands dirty almost. And I think it's Catch Me If You Can, the film about the counterfeit,
Leonardo
DiCaprio, who was counterfeiting notes and checks and stuff. And he said something that really stuck with me. He said, if you want to know what is a counterfeit, don't spend your time studying counterfeits, because there'll always be new counterfeits. Spend your time studying the real. And then whenever a counterfeit comes, you'll be able to spot the counterfeit, because there'll be like deviations from the actual thing. And so I've always had the notion of, when it comes to the gospel or sound doctrine, don't spend so much time trying to denounce what is wrong, even though there are often spaces and times for that. Spend more time pointing to the truth of the gospel. So if your whole ministry is built on exposing lies, then when are you actually pointing to the truth? If that makes sense. So that's the wrestle that I have with it.
I mean, it's a fair point. I think what I've seen, at least from most of the sort of expose channels that I've seen, is
Mm.
they actually know their stuff,
Mm.
and so they may have spent they obviously spending time behind closed doors, actually studying stuff to be able
Mm.
to point it out. I think for me the positive is it's for the unbelievers, or it's actually for, because YouTube is, you can arguably it's amoral, right? It doesn't really care. It's
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
gains traction.
yeah.
And so you find stupidity gains traction a lot. But then I find for those channels, they almost ride the coattails of stupidity. So you get the
Mm.
stupidity come through, and then you get YouTube recommend something else
Yeah,
related to that,
yeah.
and that's exposing the stupidity. And
Okay.
that's been part of the issue with Christianity, isn't it? Bizzle points it out. You take the one wild preacher, and then you put him on the platform as if that's what we believe, but we
Yeah,
think he's wild,
yeah,
and so then
yeah.
the person that's exposing is able to come and point that out. You're
Yeah,
right though, in that
yeah.
you probably don't want to. Your whole life shouldn't be around that, and some of them are, and I said there is the negative, there's the disadvantage there,
Yeah.
but I think net positive,
Yeah.
all things
And you're right in
considered.
that
But
quite a few of them are quite diligent with their studies and stuff, and they can have a conversation and stuff. And I haven't watched a lot of their content. I would hope that in breaking down what is wrong, they will allude to what is right and kind of break down the stuff and kind of point you in that right direction.
or sometimes they even don't. Like we've seen a few of the Holy Nope guy,
Mhm.
right? And it's just funny, but it's
Yeah.
just the idea that, oh wait, they don't all believe this,
Yeah.
They don't all believe, oh yeah, I'm not gonna we call out names here, but we'll ease our way back. Yeah.
We're gonna ease them back into it.
Yeah.
All right. Are you happy with that, Robert?
I'm happy. Bonus question.
Of course.
Yes.
Ruslan, do you think he's a net positive or net negative on YouTube?
Oh no, I mean, I'm a fan. Net
Yeah.
positive,
I was
I'd
about
say.
to say P
Yeah.
is a fan of his. I
I
haven't watched
do.
all his content.
He's an instigator. He's a troublemaker, bro.
He's an instigator, and there's some of his. But then you listen to him and you realize he's intentionally and knowingly just gaming the algorithm. Like some of the thumbnails, some of the titles. Like he will be the first to say this is a bit clickbaity, or it's pushing it a bit. Like,
Was that very Christian to do, though?
yeah, why? Because it's just using the algorithm. He's not outright lying. But I think it's marketing. At the end of the day, it's marketing.
That's crazy.
Where is it? Be as shrewd as serpents, but as innocent as doves.
And if it's not done unwittingly or deceptively, like if I'm to go on his channel and he's acting like there's nothing wrong with this, or then yeah. But then also I think he does have some sensationalized stuff, and some that gets my nerves a little bit. But net positive, I'd always say, and I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Ruslan. Easy.
I'm a fan of his music.
I think he's a pagan. So we have all opinions here. That's great.
My question is along a different vein. Robert, how would you go about advising a new Christian around how to go about picking a Bible translation? Obviously, you may have recommendations and stuff. Like, if you do have recommendations for a new believer, why would you recommend these ones as opposed to other ones? And if they want more self-direction in terms of picking a translation, what guidelines would you kind of give them?
So I've seen this chart once, which is really cool. That shows like on a spectrum, like how close to the original translation different Bible verses are.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I started them off on there saying, okay, so this is the spectrum. The ones on the very end are as close as we have to what the original text say. So as your main text, maybe take from one of here. But also for something with a bit more of a flourish, to help you
Flourish.
Yeah, you know, like a little garnish to help you.
We all know the translations he's talking about.
Not the message, not the message. Like I'm like
The
like the
message is all
passion,
garnish. The message is
like
all
the
flood.
passion. The passion's a
Okay.
nice translation for like a little bit of you know, a
Mm.
bit of flourish, a bit of like I don't know how to, yeah, but no, a bit more not loose, but a bit more
Yeah.
free.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, and I think it's still a good. It's still a good enough translation that it'll still give you the main
Mm.
points, but help you think about it maybe in a more open way without being heretical like the message version.
This is not heretical. Relax.
It might as well be.
Bro, it's when I'm reading through the message, yeah, and then I see a passage that says these are verses 5 through to 9. I'm like, what? How did you amalgamate 4 different verses into one? What?
I would never read a message, but in fairness, the Bible wasn't written in verses. That came
It
after the
wasn't.
fact.
It wasn't. So it's taking an idea and presenting it.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, bro, wait, if I'm trying to reference this, what am I gonna do?
Reference the entire passage. Follow-up question for everyone. Which is more important? A more accurate word-for-word translation or a more accurate capture of the intention of the text?
Good
I
question.
think I think the first one.
A more word-for-word translation.
Yeah, because I think with the thing you need to be careful is your understanding of the intent might be incorrect.
Okay.
Because the translator's understanding of the writer's intention may not necessarily
Yeah.
be
Because
congruent.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you always have your bias when you're doing your translation.
Yeah.
Mm.
I have always said that I don't believe anyone reads the Bible subjectively.
Yeah.
I mean, objectively.
Yeah.
Everyone reads it subjectively, in that your own biases and perspectives and stuff kind of feeds into the way that you're reading it. Obviously, that the hope is to be more and more faithful reader of the Bible,
Yeah.
but we can't avoid the reality of our perspective shaping how we read and internalize things.
Yeah.
And as diligent students of the Bible, we want to get more and more close to the author's original intentions as we read it, and the ultimate author being God
Yeah.
through the human authors
It's
to
very
get to
interesting.
the original.
Yeah. Are you guys both at least bilingual? Do you all speak Tree or understand it?
Yeah,
A little bit.
When I say akatesia,
I don't know
do you,
what that means.
okay, so akatesia word for word would translate someone who covers to hide. Someone who covers something to hide it away. Word for word. We use it and its intent is young woman.
Interesting.
And it speaks to the modesty, the sort of Ghanaian modesty thing, but it translates someone who akata disie, you cover to hide,
Okay, yeah.
but then it's woman, it's young
Yeah.
woman, right? And so I found, like, I completely agree with you. I mean, it's sort of Bible study 101 is as close you can get to the original languages is probably better. But I'm beginning to, I say beginning, I'm getting to a place where I'm more grateful for the translations that try to capture the intent, albeit try to capture it in an informed way. So it's not just, this is our best guess based on the context that we can see, but it's people like Amanda Hope Haley, the redhead archaeologist.
Yeah, red hair.
Yeah. Yeah, that they're looking at much more than just even the words. They're looking at the cultures. They're looking at the cultures around, and they're trying to use that to inform the translation to capture intent. And I'm almost holding them both of equal value. So I've got my Strong's concordance, and then I've got my NLT, for instance, that tries to not just go word for word, but then tries to capture intent as well. Yeah,
and that's definitely my suggestion as well in terms of Bible translations wouldn't be to just stick with one translation.
Yeah, that's it.
Try out like hop from one to another. Ideally not every day, but just like read one
Yeah.
and then go to another and read it. It allows you to read the Bible afresh every time, catching new nuance and understanding and stuff. But I do like I'm not sure if you finished, Robert, but with you saying like giving them that chart, I think that is a really helpful resource.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where does the Sparkle translation fall on the chart? Off the chart.
Even after the message, like
it's not on the chart. There's
I was the message on the chart to be honest with you.
Do you know what? One thing that I found very interesting, and do let me know if you still had more to say, Robert. I don't want to shortchange your answer. One thing that I found really interesting is even the ESV has come under a lot of attack as a translation.
Really?
Because it's come under a lot of attack because the arguments around it is that it was translated by a predominantly evangelical white male cohort, and they had an agenda around what they wanted to push forward. And so the role of women within the ESV has been dramatically diminished in comparison to other versions. There have been parts of text that have been omitted, and because it was written for a much younger readership, they've almost been able to give it to like youth groups and stuff, which is now starting to impact their theology and their understanding of the Bible and diminishing their perspective of the role of women and stuff. Even going through when Paul was writing, I think it's in Romans or something, where he mentioned some women, in the ESV, they actually demoted them slightly, their positions. They demoted them in comparison to where they were in other translations. And so even with the ESV that I was always like, oh yeah, like I really like this. Like, even that there was an agenda behind it. And so again, it's just like, okay, how does that then shape the way that we approach the word, approach Bible translations and stuff? But reading the Bible is much better than not reading the Bible.
Yeah.
So long as you're in it, that's a very good first step. We can kind of go around nuances and stuff as you're becoming more familiar with it.
So long as you're in some sort of accepted canon, and because you got, I mean, some slaves found God in the slave Bible, so it's possible. I don't know. The Sparkle translation might be a bit of a tougher sell.
Might be interesting. Them man saying Jesus was a drag queen and that.
Jesus said, "Come out."
Yeah, but no, sorry, Robert. If you had anything more to say, please share.
No. That was it.
Okay, but I really like that. I hadn't even thought about that. I was literally like, oh yeah, NIV, NKJV, just. But to give them the chart is really to equip them to be able to say, okay, what do I think I need? And I think I'll definitely add, have multiple, try to pick from like different ends of the scale to be a good complement.
Yeah.
Good shot.
Cool. All right, let's get into the topic for today.
Come on.
So, I haven't done this in a while.
There's a plethora of stuff.
There is. There was something that caught my eye this week whilst I was at work. I thought, oh, that's interesting. I'll get to the topic. Can I borrow my phone for a second, please? Thank you. So,
hey, Lady Amissa, gang.
Mrs. and Miss in the house.
It is a house too, so maybe. Where's the good?
Otherwise, this will be a very awkward podcast episode, but
completely random. I ordered my upgrade today for my phone.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
iPhone, yeah.
because
Did you get the Pixel?
I didn't know. I got the base model S25. So I'm going smaller. I'm definitely going smaller. But because it has the same exact chip as the Ultra, I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah.
So
Fair.
yeah, I went S25 512 gig.
Fully
I
thought
got
you were gonna go Pixel. You know, I don't know
I
why.
wanted to. No, I wanted to because I got the 8A for Anita, and it reignited my love for just a small phone. And so I was planning on going the 9, and then Samsung had their Unpacked event recently, and I was like, they're putting the Snapdragon 8 Elite, which is the best chip right now, in the base model. There's no change other than a smaller battery
Yeah.
and a full HD screen other than the QHD. I got it for like £300 off with various promotional codes.
That's
It
it.
makes no sense to
That's
go back to Ultra.
That's
So
it.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm keeping my
brother.
Ultra. So yeah, sorry, but yeah, I got excited.
Sorry, I fell asleep there for a second, but it's okay.
The disrespect,
Anyway, so in the news this week, Labour is coming under fire once again.
Keir Starmer.
At this point, Labour should just leave because they can't seem to do anything right at all.
What they come under fire for?
Or to be honest, this is one of the lesser ones that it probably doesn't infuriate people as much. But I thought it was interesting anyway. So, let me get the number. Okay, yeah. So, Labour are talking about cutting taxes to churches.
Oh, okay.
When it comes to repair funding that churches can get for all the church buildings. So basically, there's this fund. If you've got like an older graded, or not graded, but like an older church build, you can go into this fund and get money to help restore your building. And Labour are going to cut £20 million from this. And the writer of this article says Conservative Post says, while allocating a staggering 117 million to protect mosques. Just throw that in there. And it says that the government decision to halve the tax relief available for church repairs has sparked anger among campaigners who warned that without urgent funding, many historical buildings will fall into disrepair and face permanent closure. Wow. The report estimates that nearly 1,000 churches are in immediate danger, leaving communities devastated. So I saw that. I was like, that's interesting. And then it got me thinking about whether when it comes to churches as well, we should be Darwin about it. If you can survive, you can survive. If you can't survive, you got a clue. Or do you think that there's
sink or swim?
Or do you think like the BBC, churches need to be protected at all costs?
I think there's almost this argument really sits in the narrative of church and state. If the two should be amalgamated, if the state has a responsibility to safeguard the church, I think we can all agree that this country, being a Christian country, it has long gone. I think the closest you can try to argue about that is the Church of England, but that's more so of a monarch, of a royalty thing than a prime minister sort of thing. And you can also argue from the position of equality. If you're, say, earmarking money for mosques, why are you taking money from churches? But then you can also ask Chinese temples, Hindu temples, Sikh temples, like, are there money laid aside for all of these things? If it is a case of equality. because Christianity isn't the only religion that is exercised or followed within the UK. So yeah, man. I think those who would argue about it would be more so Anglicans because it is seen as the church of the country, like it's the Church of England, and so England needs to take care of its church.
Okay.
So the Anglicans.
So just say I found a bit more information on it. It says that there'll be a cap of £25,000 per building each year.
Each year.
Yes.
Yeah, you lot need to make that work, man. You lot need to make that work. Jesus fed 5,000 with 5 loaves. Make that work.
It did say like since it's been introduced, 94% of the applications have been below 25,000. So like that number is like significant. Most of them are applying for below 25,000, so we'll cap it at that. Okay, cool. I think my thing is that I agree. It's a difficult one, right? Because some of these churches also like become community hubs and stuff like that, and hold stuff for the community. But I think the Labour government are in a tough position, man. We've had how many years of like a conservative focused government resulting in how much debt, right? And there has to be a way to pay for it, you know. And there's only so much that they can tax me because I don't make that much. So it's like
it's just funny that the first people that Labour decided to get more money from was the old people through the residual allowance.
Bro,
they voted us into Brexit, right? Anyway,
wow, I was saying the same thing. They're doing this so more old people die because as you get older, you become more conservative.
You want to conserve your riches. No, I think it's a tough play. It's just the country's in so much debt. There needs to be a way to relieve it. And for me, it becomes like I'm thinking more along the lines of like when Zach and Zara grow up, right? For us, university was what, $3,000, EMA, stuff like that. They won't ever have that. When they go, unless they go to university in like Scotland or something, where I think it's still fairly dirt cheap. But I think
even in Scotland you have to be Scottish to benefit.
Otherwise, you're paying that international student fees.
You have to be Scottish to benefit from it.
I say international student fees is the reason.
Student fees, boy.
International student fees is the reason why I had to stay back and do 2 years of A level and a year in industry because my dad weren't paying $13,000. I was like,
you got 3 years to wait. 3 years,
dude. I had applied to KNUST in Ghana, Kwame Nkrumah University. I was like, if I'm coming here, we're going to university. They come, we go and do some inquiries, and my dad's like, 13,000 per year. Like, because he's got a British passport. It's like, yeah, no, he's not been in the country 3 years prior. So I had Pete go do A levels then, and then you go to a year in industry. And I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, it's the prices they're paying now, the way things are. It's like even if it's not the best, we sort of had to have a different mentality to bring us back a little bit from the debt that we had gone into. And so, yeah, it's tough. It's tough, but I don't see any other way to get around it than some of these taxes and some of these cutbacks.
So the Labour part isn't the part that's interesting to me. I think the question that's more interesting is, do you think that churches should be self-sufficient?
I think
not necessarily.
That's a very interesting question. Very interesting question. Okay, I'll let you go, Pete.
I was only going to say in terms of Paul would take from, he'd ask for donations from one church to take it to another. And so ideally the body of Christ should be self-sufficient. We should be able to take care of our own. But if if there's, if we claim to be a Christian nation, and we still, the claim is still there. More, I completely agree. Are we a Christian nation? No, but we've still got a king now who is the head of a church.
Yeah.
And if the royal family are making money, then the church of the country should get some of that money as well.
Mhm.
Like, if it's even just that there's some money from all the taxes and stuff that goes to the propagation of the gospel,
Mm.
I'm down for that. But yeah,
Yeah. So repeat the question again.
Should churches be self-sufficient?
That's it. I agree in that I think the body should be self-sufficient. Many members, one body, many different functions, the same spirit that kind of works through. I do believe that God blesses some with money, blesses some with like the gift of preaching, entrepreneurial mindsets, blah blah blah. And I do believe that there is a mutuality, even as Paul, both the Old Testament and Paul says, those who gathered much didn't gather too much, and those who gathered little didn't gather too little. It's like there's this mutuality and the sharing between all the people. And so for those who are entrepreneurial, who are like financially flush, supporting the rest of them, so there is this mutuality. I do believe that for the church to be self-sufficient, there will have to be a change of model. I don't think we can have 25 churches on one strip and the body be self-sufficient, because essentially that's 25 buildings.
yeah,
If all the resources were pulled together and stuff like that, then it may be more sustainable. But if we are literally paying for 25 buildings, or whether it's rent or whatever, on the same strip, that may not be very sustainable. So I think it would take a lot more collaboration, a lot more unity for it to be more sustainable. It would be good for it to do that. It would be good for the church to have a lot more unity. Capital C church, like the whole body, to have a lot more unity in the way we function, to be able to support one another and be more self-sufficient. But it will take both challenge and like a different sort of model of how we do church.
Do you think
You're muted.
yeah. Even though you've been unmuted, I still can't hear you. I don't know if that's the same for Mo.
Yeah, I still can't hear you.
Yeah.
Hey, you can hear me now.
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Yeah, sorry, it's my default mic is the stupid one that's not even plugged in. Do you think church? Well, not. Do you think that? Because we see that churches can make lots of money when you got your like Joel Osteens and your them and there. But even but even with people like you could take someone like a Francis Chan, his churches seem to be doing well financially. Do you think there's a correlation between input and output when it comes to churches? So like what you put in is what you so that's like what you sow is what you reap, or do you think that you just happen to be in like a bad area and you just have to be in like the broke part of the area where people want to be giving but but they can't?
We're living payslip to payslip. It's not quite working. I do think there is a reality of social economic constraints and factors in people giving. I do also think that there seems to be more of a social element to churches now, where church leaders want to do more things to equip their members in terms of financial literacy, investment, upskilling them and stuff like that to be able to function much more in society. I do think that if the church invests in their members, so that Paul will say, the person who doesn't work shouldn't eat. Like, he didn't go as far as like building like a a school or something to help people do. But I guess them times was a lot more apprenticeship trade. You kind of learn your trade from those who went before you. So there was that model there. So there was something already in place. Um, but yeah, there is this notion of equipping your members to be able to be contributors to society in some way, shape, or form. Um, and then kind of that then feeding back into the church because you're making money and because you're earning and stuff. So there is that mutuality. So yeah, I do think investing in your congregants beyond just Bible reading and stuff by helping them function to their fullest in society will go a long way in kind of feeding back into the church. And I know that quite a few leaders are they have that sort of mindset now as well, where we're not just trying to do a Bible study, but we also want to make you active participants in community, because that is how you live out your faith, by doing good works and by being able to serve and stuff in society.
I
Peter
did
seems to
find
be
it.
good thought.
Yeah, I did find it interesting that, I mean, the examples that you gave and the examples that I think of off the top of my head are the mega churches located in geographies where, like, there's affluence, right? They're
Yes.
located in areas of affluence. Whereas I also think the church, the same church, um, should have a focus on the disenfranchised, right? The widow and then the orphan, right? Who would be less likely to be rich. And so if you've got a church that's focused on helping, disenfranchised community, they might not. They might, you got a missionary go down there. He ain't gonna be bringing in that much, cash flow or stuff, because they're there to actually help. I say actually help. I'm not trying to throw shade, but it's interesting. It's interesting, and I think if the church is doing what the church needs to do, then it would just be based on the area and what economic opportunities are available to the people there. I think.
So, what would you say to someone who says, if the work you were actually doing was good, then God would bring the increase for you to be able to cover it, or even do
I
more?
think that's short-sighted. I
Yeah.
think I think that's a short-sighted view, and again, I think that falls into the camp of people whose doctrine make God just transactional.
Yeah.
You know, those are the same people I imagine. I'll say if you pay your tithes, even though you can't feed your family, then one day you'll buy a Rolls Royce.
Uh-huh.
I don't think it's I think it's a misrepresentation of the way God works and the way that um, I think He calls us to live, which isn't necessarily from a place of like financial obscene excess,
Mm.
you know, which is what sometimes you get, but from a place of being a blessing to be a blessing, or from a place of dying to self
Yeah.
and you know giving your all for the propagation of God's kingdom. So I think someone that says that is in the wrong on their point rather than on the church not making money or making money.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think again, it's like give a man a fish, you feed him for a day. Teach him how to fish, you feed him for a lifetime. Um, I do kind of come back to the point of I really feel like, and it may be because of the line of work that I do. It's easier to give someone a handout than it is to teach them how to go fend for themselves. It's easy to defend your child than to teach them how to defend themselves. Um, but when you teach them how to defend themselves, they then stand a better chance without you to be able to go out and live life. And I think, yes, that there are mega churches and stuff that live in more affluent spaces. There are churches that I have in mind in London that are literally colonizing places left, right, and center. I'm not going to name any names, but I know, man, them know what I'm talking about. Um, and they are in affluent spaces. And within their network, they're able to almost move money around in spaces that are more beneficial for them.
Smack.
But equally, when we look at spaces that aren't there, maybe the ends or whatever, there are still opportunities to invest in the community in the same way, to be like, okay, we may not be there yet, but we still have capacity to kind of grow in that way, to generationally kind of dig ourselves out of this. So again, in that investment, so this is where the church almost becomes the community educators and stuff like that, teaching people, like gaining resources and stuff. And again, all of this will take some funds, some finances. So whether it's a case of applying for government grants or stuff like that, but investing into the community to then allow the community to stand on its own too, not from a perspective of, oh, if you join the church, I'll help you. But it's just like, no, like God fed 5,000 people that came to listen to him, whether they converted or not. Yeah, and so it's just like the disciples in the synoptics, when Jesus called them, they drew their nets and had multitudes of fish before Jesus made the call, follow me. So it wasn't, oh, if you follow me, I'll give you fish. But it's like, yo, like I've provided, follow me. And then they had free will to kind of follow if they wanted to or not. So yeah, I'm a massive proponent of how can we equip the community to kind of stand on their own too, as a means of expressing God's love for whether or not they come to him. But Jesus has come into this community and has left this community better off. Whether you come to him or not, he has touched your life. He has transformed your situation some way. Yeah.
Also, just going back to the churches, and the church buildings in this country, I think there is a significance to England having a Christian heritage that is largely also represented by some of these like majestic church buildings. Like they, in and of themselves, stand as pointers at the very least, and I think that's it can't go, it can't be trivialized. The significance of that, it's not the end all be all. The temple is no longer the exclusive house of God, but I think it's significant. I definitely think it's significant. So
Yeah, that's definitely one thing that I really enjoyed about the parish model of church, where it's just like there is a church building in every parish, where it's like God is invested in this area. Like he has sent someone to serve this area as his representative, and it's just like God is invested in every area, every parish. And I really like that notion, where it's just like, yo, like I'm here to serve this community. So yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with you on that one. What do you think, Robert?
I think that churches should try and be as self-sufficient as they can be, and then have faith that God will make up the difference.
Do you think that church can be self-sufficient as it is now?
Some churches can. Some churches can. Some churches can't. I know within the Salvation Army, the model was they had targets they had to hit when it came, as it comes to how much they bring in, and then the Salvation Army as a whole would surplus whatever they needed, which I think is good. So it's not like you're totally reliant on the corporation. You're also trying to do your part as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
I do think that if a church can't be self-sufficient, then it should look for ways to try and make money.
I thought you were about to say it should close.
because well, we always need churches, but church doesn't always have to take place inside one of these church buildings, you know. And if the upkeep is too much, then move to somewhere smaller. If you can rent out the church 2 or 3 times a week, and it's going to bring in a bit of income, and that helps do so.
If the leader of the church can build tents so that he's not a burden to his people, you can do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I was gonna say something.
Yeah, I also don't think it helps that Christianity is dwindling in the UK either. So people that were there before who would have potentially been given, the numbers decreasing year upon year. So you're gonna have to find your ROI in it.
That's an ROI.
No, not ROI. Unique
USP.
USP.
That's it. Mostly return on investment.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a real interesting one though.
Yeah.
It's a real interesting one.
It's interesting how prosperity gospel places have found that USP and they're able to just suck in all the money for
But this is
themselves.
biblical. This is biblical. People will search after preachers that tickle their ears
Yeah.
or what they want to hear.
Facts.
You know.
And again, it's a shame, but if you come from an environment which has been historically quite poor, and then you have the prosperity gospel, it's like, yo, that man can mash peas if I come to this thing. You got the specs, red bottoms, like man can run all of these things. It draws you in because you think that you're about to be alleviated from all of the pain and stuff that you faced as and it's a shame without recognizing that the only thing promised you in Christianity is persecution. Well, that and eternal life. That's like eternal life in Jesus is the first thing. But here on earth is persecution. And it's just like,
Also, I don't even hear about you. I don't want to hear about your pain, but you got new Jordans every month because something is not correlating.
Someone said Ferrari Fellowship. Yo.
I'm there for it.
Stand and snack. Hey, what?
That was a bar. Ferrari Fellowship, you know.
Oh, what?
That's a bar. Yeah.
Maserati Ministry. I'm there for it.
Yeah.
Hey, you might need to run that, you know.
I'm there.
Ferrari Fellowship. What? If you ain't got a Lambo, you can't chill with a man then.
No. Aldi's only at this altar. I'm telling you for
What?
Yo. I'm gonna take my Kia home.
Hey, but your key is a new plate thing though.
21. Not new.
Bro, still hey, Maserati Ministries. Are you
Different.
mad? Hey, what? Yeah, the alliteration is coming out now, boy.
Okay, final question. If you're the leader of a church that's not doing the best financially, what single piece of advice would you give?
What kind of shot is that?
No, because some people are.
Because I'm part of the leadership of a church that isn't doing. That isn't. We're not a Maserati ministry.
No, yeah. You know, I wasn't going to say anything, but now that you brought it up, I've actually got a specific question for you, Peter.
Oh, stress.
Because it's something that came to mind. Something that came to mind. Do you think that there's a correlation with how our church is doing financially, with the fact that nearly none of the people that come to the church live in the community that the church is in?
Not necessarily, no. Because I think, like, financially between all of us, I don't know people's pockets, but I think financially between all of us, we haven't got like that expensive a place where we're meeting in the school. We're meeting in the school, and admittedly, the service we were using before was quite expensive. Like they were charging us a bit more than we should be charged. But between all of us, like if everyone just gives some offering, we're okay for our rent and stuff. Like we don't have any full-time pastors, we don't have any full-time ministers, so no one's
part-time pastors and ministers.
But either way, no one's taking the salary from the church, right?
Fair.
So we are only just paying for Like even all the
Building.
equipment is donated, right? Donated, being used is for the people, right? Like we use Robert's camera, we use my laptop, we use Pip's hardware. So our overhead isn't that expensive for the people there. I think it's more so the numbers is what's affected. The congregation size is what's affected by the fact that I think it's only two families that live within 10 minutes of the three families maybe that live within 10 minutes of the location where we meet, because that affects stuff like just even evangelism, like going out to go and do evangelism outside of the week, outside of a Sunday, is difficult. It's a trek.
Yeah.
It's a lot of us can't actually afford to make that trip. So that's what's affected, but I think financially not so much. Of course, if the congregation increased and everyone was generous, then yeah, the money would be more. But
Your return shots fired, boy.
Like you broke ass.
that's not even where I was going. But yeah.
No, yeah. I think that there are practical things that can be done. So Peter alluded to it in terms of just the way that fees that are being charged, stuff like that. Potentially, some of the stuff aren't really practical. Trying to find a smaller location, because that then means everyone has to then like move to another place. Maybe renting same place but trying to find a smaller room or fee to charge room or stuff like that. There are ways in which if you're renting equipment, maybe you don't need to rent equipment. If you have certain provisions that aren't really being used, maybe we can bench them for now. It's kind of the same with businesses. They say businesses that file for bankruptcy tend to be those that don't have the capacity to expand and contract with their needs. So if everything is just kind of like fixed, and whether or not people are using the services, we still need this much money to run it, they tend to go bankrupt much quicker and earlier than others that are more flexible. And so just being flexible, person mentioned home groups. Yeah, there are possibilities of doing church in different ways, even like Zoom, stuff like that, more online. But there is something about in-person fellowship that goes a long way. So even like with home groups and stuff, and I think even with home groups, it can be a bit hit and miss, because it's home groups tend to almost be supplementary to a Sunday service.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily replace the Sunday service. And that also comes at a increased pressure on whoever's hosting. So yeah, it's trying to manage these things. It would be nicer to almost have a space which is detached from everyone. We can kind of come neutral ground, fellowship, this and that, and then continue these relationships elsewhere. So it would be trying to be as efficient with our resources as possible. If we only have £300 coming in every month, what can we realistically do with this? If it fluctuates to £700, doesn't mean we run to a bigger building the next month. But it's like, how do we? It's being a steward over what you have.
Yeah.
Someone said, "Be faithful to the ministry you have rather than the ministry you want." So it's like, you may want a ministry of 700 people who are all tithing £1,000 every month, but right now you've got 5 who are tithing 500, who are tithing 100. So it's like, how do you be faithful to what you have now, knowing that God blesses what you have and may even use that to take you to a bigger or greater, whether financially or not, but into what He wants you to have. Yeah.
I think that's a nice place to round up.
Yeah, I think it is.
Still got it.
Come on.
Cool. Okay, hookups.
Yo, this is something we haven't done in a while.
Yeah.
Mad.
You guys need some time?
Nah, I've got mine. I had mine from like last week and that. I've been flicking back through the archives, yeah, and I've been banging out Lecrae, you know.
Ew.
Yeah. What, old stuff or new stuff?
Nah, like the old, some of the I think it's semi new.
Okay, church clothes and that.
Church. So I've been banging Church Clothes 4,
Mm.
which I think is his last Church Clothes. I've been banging the let me get my Spotify up. The Restoration album.
Spotify Wrapped, yeah. You're trying to clean up your Spotify Wrapped
Yeah.
for next year.
No, thankfully, yeah, my Spotify was all lo-fi this year.
Yeah, fair.
It was all lo-fi. Restoration album, which was 2020. Restoration was 2020. Church Clothes was 2022. So yeah, I've been banging. I've gone back into the archives with Lecrae. And yeah, it's been. I am appreciating Lecrae a lot more now than I did before. But yeah, which is interesting because I'm recognizing that he's speaking more so from a perspective of when faith and life kind of collides, and you're trying to do life with faith at the same time and wrestling and stuff. So yeah, it was really good to go back to it. So yeah, man, Lecrae.
Cool. I'll go next. I'll offer an actual hookup, but then also just a bonus one for the music.
Was that a
side as
shade?
well.
Was that shade? Yeah, not Lecrae.
No, that's like I've got my hookup in my mind I want to give, but then just because you mentioned music, there's a Linnell Grant. She used to be the producer for Toby Nugwe, so the one that was doing all the production, but she's doing her own thing, and she's dope. Like she's dope. She's got the same. I don't know if that's just a West sort of style of flow, but she's got the same type of flow like Toby does. But yeah, she's dope. Her latest single, I think, is "Shake Loose." Linnell Grant, check her out. She is dope, like literally dope. But then my hookup also would be
Pete.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Okay, we're gonna have it on the show notes anyways, because I was just looking for it. But Linnell, the way she spells it is different from the way that I spelt it. So I was saying maybe spelling would be helpful, but we're gonna have it in the show notes anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll link it. Yeah. Because now I'm thinking about it, I don't think I know how to spell it.
Yeah, I've literally just searched it on Spotify, so I have it.
Cool.
I can share it now if it needs to be, or we can just save it until the show notes.
I'll stick in the show notes.
Yeah,
I'll stick in the show notes for sure. Which reminds me, I normally take notes whilst we're doing hookups, so I need to write it down. But yeah, my actual hookup would be, so every year I go through the Bible with a podcast called Daily Audio Bible. I've been doing the chronological. I'm doing that again this year. But this year there's also Daily Audio Bible Kids, which is read by the son of the guy that started the Daily Audio Bible. He's called Ezekiel. And he's just going through the New Testament this year, but I've got Zara started on that. So every day she listens, and it's just an easy way to get in a Bible reading, talk about it, and build a habit for every single day reading. So she started it this year. The prayer is we carry on until she's old, and she carries on her own. Sometimes she'll even listen to the chronological with me. But she listens to Daily Audio Bible Kids every day, so that's my hookup. Daily Audio Bible Kids. For those of you that have kids, get them.
Yeah, I might get into that. But
yeah.
Cool. So my New Year's resolution, right? It's my new thing. Every week I'm gonna come with a new wrestling match. I'm gonna recommend people to watch. Now that WWE is on Netflix. That's on Netflix. Everyone can be watching wrestling now. Trying to get people's wrestling intake up. Yeah, and I'll try and do it for like the week that's just gone, unless there was nothing good, and then I'll just.
Oh wait, are you giving like a current match as opposed to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If I can't find like a current one from like the last week, then I'll give one from like a pay per view that I thought was really good.
I was going to say Hulk Hogan versus Andre the Giant every single time.
Resident has moved on so far away from that. What are you talking about? Disgusting. Anyway, so my wrestling hookup for this week is from NXT, which is WWE's developmental brand. It was a women's tag team match, Bianca Belair and Naomi versus Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson.
Look, you're gonna have to send me these names. I ain't writing all that.
I'll send that to you. A really good match. Good to see 4 black women in the wrestling ring together, and it was great. Everyone loved it. I loved it too. Hook up. And another Netflix show is called Rich House Poor House, and
It's like wife swap.
yes,
House swap.
it's wife swap with houses. So
Mad.
yeah, so basically, a rich family will swap houses with a poor family and live in their house for a week, and also live off the money that they spend in a week as well.
Stress.
If I was from the poor family and went to the rich house, I'd be acting a fool for the week. Man. Acting a fool.
The first episode, the poor family, a week they had £112 to spend, for a family of 4. So my mum, dad, and 2 kids. The rich family, which was even just the mum and the dad, because all their children had grown up and left. 1,200
For the week.
for the week.
Is that just food, or is that like bills and stuff as well?
Food, entertainment. No, not bills. So it's like after bills are paid, this is how much we have for like food and entertainment and all of that kind of stuff.
So that would include like a Netflix subscription, or if you had a Netflix subscription.
No.
No.
That would be bills.
Yeah. So it'll be okay. This is what we can go out and spend money on.
112 is a lot, you know.
112 a week for a family of 4.
That's Aldi.
Nah.
That's Aldi. That's
£112 or
Yeah.
£1,200.
I mean, £1,200 is obviously excessive. I'm just thinking 112 is not bad. Like for a family of 4.
No, 4 kids. So a family of 6.
Family of 6.
Yeah, family of 6 for 4 kids.
Audi can stretch.
Audi can stretch, you know.
It can stretch because you can bang meat for like £50 and then get the carbs. Like
Audi will stretch, you know.
And then maybe get 2 donuts and stuff as well.
Yeah, but I think that also takes into consideration if something breaks down or there's like something torn, you need to go in.
Okay.
Fair.
Plus, I also think our culinary sort of our dishes and diets, the Ghanaian sort of way, it allows for some of this stretch. It's everything rice. You just buy 1 bag of rice. So,
£17 is gonna last you for a month.
Yeah. So no, cool. I was just thinking, I was like, actually, that's not too bad. But yeah, cool.
Well, I would want the 1,200 a week if I could have it.
But
1,200?
1,200 a week. What?
I'm eating gold dusted steaks for dinner.
Uber Eats on speed dial.
Wow,
Oh wow,
that's lavish living, bro.
that's crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay. Let's see if I can still remember how to do this.
Hey.
Shout out to Root for the
Our links
outro
are
music.
still up and running in that, boy.
Shout out to Root for the intro outro music. Calvin Turner for the audio amazing logo. You can find us at soundcloud.com/no-apostrophe on all good podcast websites and apps. That's first with an apostrophe.
Yep.
Do we still have the Twitter at the Finish UK?
No, and it's not Twitter anymore anyway, is it?
X.
Instagram at TBS Furnace.
I
ain't checked that. It's still there. I ain't checked.
Ah, wait. Whoa, well, back but not back. Yeah, we're still trying to work out the kinks.
Even when we were recording, how many of us were checking like the Twitter and the Instagram and stuff?
All right,
Yeah,
we're streamlining. We're just streamlining.
We're streamlining.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
to
yeah,
be
man.
back, it's good to be back, man.
Yeah, man.
This has been good.
More to come. All right, this is Black Chris Burnett signing out. Blow.
See.